So what is the biggest domestic security threat in this country? Now, if you're, say, Islamic extremism, then you would be absolutely incorrect. If you're to say right-wing extremism, then you are 100% correct. Now, this is according to the FBI, who recently released a memo warning that conspiracy theory-driven domestic extremists are the biggest danger in the country. The memo, dated May 30th, describes anti-government, identity-based, and fringe political conspiracy theorists as likely to motivate extremists to commit criminal or violent activity. Now, in the memo, the FBI says that the document is the first bureau product to explicitly discuss the future threat from domestic extremists driven by modern conspiracy theorists. They said, although conspiracy theory-driven crime and violence is not a new phenomenon, today's information environment has changed the way conspiracy theories develop, spread, and evolve. In the FBI's assessment, these conspiracy theory movements very likely will emerge, spread, and evolve in the modern information marketplace over the near term, fostering anti-government sentiment, promoting racial and religious prejudice, increasing political tensions, and occasionally driving both groups and individuals to commit criminal or violent acts, especially as we move into the 2020 election season. The FBI later in the document also defines very likely as a greater than 80% chance of something occurring. Yikes. Yikes. Again, this is right-wing extremism. And finally, the FBI is saying, oh, right, it turns out that we have a lot of dangerous people in this country that are driven by the right wing and not just Islamic extremism. Great. Finally. Look, I know it shouldn't come as a shock. Anybody who pays attention to the news knows that, most of the extremism in this country, most of the violent attacks haven't been coming from left-wing groups or Antifa, or haven't been coming from, Islamic extremists. It has been perpetrated by white right-wing terrorists. That's what's been going on in this country. But, of course, for years and years, the focus has not been on right-wing extremism. It has been on Muslims. It has been on African Americans. It has been on pipeline protesters. It has been on all these other groups that actually are not a danger. When has Antifa actually killed somebody? Now, I don't agree with their methods. I don't think that you should punch Trump supporters. As much as sometimes you might want to, you don't do that. You don't perpetrate violence. But Antifa's has never killed anybody. But white right-wing extremists have. They're the leading cause of domestic terrorism in this country right now. And at least now, though, you have the government that's actually acknowledging the role of right-wing ideology in creating this extremism. And of course, is backed by ridiculous conspiracy theories. I mean, here you had recently Trump's FBI director, Christopher Wray, telling Congress that most of the domestic terrorism arrests made so far this year have been associated with white supremacy. In fact, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security has warned of the threat of white supremacist terrorism since early in Trump's presidency, when obviously it had started to really rise. Wray even referred to this white nationalist extremist violence as, quote, a persistent and pervasive threat back in April of this year. The memo also explicitly cites both Pizzagate and QAnon as examples of modern fringe political conspiracy theories that have already been implicated in violence. Now, in case you're not aware, Pizzagate, right? The big claim in Pizzagate is that high-ranking Democratic Party officials were operating a child sex ring out of the basement of a pizza shop. That ended up having that pizza shop getting hundreds of threats. And it ended when there was a person that literally came in and started shooting. This person thought, oh no, I have to go in there. I have to save the kids from this horrible Democrat sex ring that's happening in this pizza shop. You know what they found? He found nothing. No basement full of, children, nothing. But he thought, oh, I was saving the kids. There were no children to save. In reality, this person, driven by insane conspiracy theories, put people, real people, humans, in danger. They put kids in danger. And then, of course, there's QAnon, right? QAnon is the belief that somebody in the government, known as Q, the only Q I accept is John Delancey, by the way. No, these people think that there's somebody in the government that's giving us this information, right? And that it's Donald Trump, who, by the way, is a former friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and was involved. Like, he literally had Epstein and Trump cocaine-fueled sex parties with 28 girls. Some of them might have been young as 14 years old. So children, essentially. They think that guy, Trump, is going to take down a sex trafficking ring in the government. Really? Really? I mean, it would be comical if it weren't so incredibly dangerous. And it has led to events like this. In June 2018, a Nevada man used an armored truck to block traffic next to the Hoover Dam. The man, who was found to have several weapons inside the vehicle, referenced QAnon directly and discussed related conspiratorial beliefs after his arrest. So he was trying to bring attention to the QAnon conspiracy theory by being incredibly dangerous. Now, the incident only came a few weeks after a different man claimed a homeless camp in Arizona was actually the site of child trafficking. After law enforcement came to investigate and found nothing, he repeatedly alleged a law enforcement cover-up, so much for being, of course, pro-police, and referenced the QAnon conspiracy theory as he and armed group members searched for additional camps and engaged in, quote, criminal activities, according to the memo. Again, here's the thing, right? These fringe right-wing groups, now they say, oh no, we're in favor of the police, we're in favor of law enforcement, except when we're not in favor of the FBI, which, by the way, the FBI has done far more damage to left-wing movements than the right-wing. And, oh, we're not, we're supposed to be in favor of police, but then there were two far-right extremists that literally murdered police officers. I mean, this is the insanity that is driven by the far right. So what have we done about it traditionally? Well, prepare to be very disappointed. A former Department of Homeland Security counterterrorism official talked to Yahoo News and said that while the threat may be real, it is very unlikely to be mitigated anytime soon. He said, quote, nearly all, if not all, the intelligence analysts focusing on domestic extremist groups at DHS have left or have been put out of work during the Trump administration. There is no one there to do the work to investigate or stop it. Now, look, you can blame Donald Trump for this, right? And yeah, I do. He's accepted a lot of conspiracy theories as fact, and has even pushed his own before. But also, not all of it falls on Trump, obviously, because this is a more complicated issue. Some of it also falls on President Obama. Now, President Obama, during his administration, received a report about right-wing domestic terror. This was done by the Bush administration. So they've got all this information that says clearly right-wing domestic terror groups are in this country and they are incredibly dangerous. Why don't we do something about it? Why don't we put more people in the department to investigate and to stop these terror attacks? What did Obama do? Well, first he tried to put more people in there. And then after the right wing complained, people like Rush Limbaugh, Fox News, complained about Obama targeting conservatives. Oh my God, I can't believe you're targeting conservatives. Well, first of all, it's not all conservatives that are dangerous, that believe in this stuff, right? But they don't care. They're like, no, you target any conservative, even the craziest people, and you are going after conservatives. And then they'll come up with conspiracy theories about that. And remember when Obama was invading Texas with Operation Jade Helm? Or remember when he was using Agenda 21 to put us into hobbit homes. That was something spread. That was a conspiracy theory spread by a sitting senator, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. The insanity has gone all the way up into Congress. I mean, every time Louis Gohmert opens his mouth, it's a crazy-ass conspiracy that comes out. So don't tell me that these crackpots haven't actually ascended to the level of power. They have, and Donald Trump is the biggest crackpot of them all. But they were enabled by weak, feckless Democrats who never fight back. Who never fight back. They get all offended, the Republicans do. But wait, if you're not an insane right-winger who doesn't believe in this stuff, if you just love tax cuts and deregulation, then why would you be so upset when they try to go after the people that make you look bad? That's the question. And I don't even know. Of course, not all right-wingers are wannabe domestic terrorists. That's insanity. But the question is, why defend them? Why defend them? It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Look, knowing that these people are out there, it's terrifying knowing that they can get weapons so incredibly easily. And they are armed with both misinformation and incredibly high-powered weapons, and we're not doing a goddamn thing about it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.